Imagine for a moment that your mind is like a vast garden. Every single thought you allow in is a seed. Some seeds grow into flowers, ideas of hope, gratitude, determination, and peace. Others grow into weeds. Doubt, fear, negativity, and anger. The truth is, whether flowers or weeds, the garden never stops growing. What grows depends entirely on what you choose to plant, nurture, and protect. This is the hidden truth most people overlook. Your thoughts are not passive. They are powerful forces shaping your emotions, your decisions, and ultimately, the entire direction of your life. The world you experience is filtered through the lens of your thinking. Change your thoughts, and you change the way you see the world. Change the way you see the world, and suddenly, new opportunities, new paths, and new realities unfold before you. So why does this lesson matter? Because too many people live unaware of their inner power. They allow circumstances, past experiences, or outside voices to dictate how they think. And when your thoughts are uncontrolled, your life feels out of control. But when you begin to master your thinking, when you take responsibility for the stories you tell yourself, you begin to live with intention rather than reaction. In this audiobook, we will explore 11 key truths about the mind and how your thoughts influence every part of your existence. From the way you feel about yourself, to the choices you make, to the destiny you create. Each chapter will reveal not just insights, but practical ways to shift your thinking, to replace destructive mental habits with empowering ones. As you listen, let the words sink in slowly. This is not just information, it's transformation. Think of it as a conversation with a mentor who is guiding you back to the driver's seat of your life. By the end, you will no longer wonder whether your thoughts control everything. You will know it, and more importantly, you will know how to use this truth to your advantage. Because the hidden truth is simple, yet profound. You become what you think about most of the time. And if that is true, then mastering your thoughts is the most important work you can ever do. Every great change begins not with an action, but with a thought. One single thought can be the spark that lights a fire in your life. Think of the person who dares to believe they can run a marathon after years of inactivity, or the student who imagines themselves becoming a leader one day, despite their quiet nature. That first vision, that inner whisper of possibility, begins as nothing more than a thought. Yet, that tiny spark can grow into a force that moves mountains. The truth is, every achievement, every invention, every act of courage that has shaped the world started in the invisible space of someone's mind. Before the light bulb illuminated homes, it was first an idea. Before skyscrapers touched the clouds, they were blueprints drawn in imagination. Before a person reinvented themselves, they first entertained the thought that change was possible. What begins within eventually manifests without. That is the undeniable chain of cause and effect. But here is the hidden side most people overlook. Just as empowering thoughts can lift us higher, limiting thoughts can chain us to the ground. Consider someone who constantly tells themselves they are not good enough, not smart enough, or not worthy of success. That thought, repeated over and over, becomes a belief, and that belief begins to shape their behavior. They hesitate to try, they stop reaching, they avoid risks, and little by little, their life becomes smaller. Not because the world limited them, but because their thoughts did. The danger lies in forgetting that the mind listens to what we feed it. Each thought is like a command whispered to the subconscious. When you tell yourself you can, your mind begins searching for ways to prove it true. When you tell yourself you can't, your mind obediently collects evidence to support that story as well. In both cases, the thought comes first, and the outcome follows. Now, you might wonder, how can something as light and fleeting as a thought hold such weight over a person's destiny? The answer is that thoughts are not merely mental images. They are energy. They generate emotion, and emotion drives action. A single negative thought, left unchecked, can spiral into anxiety, into hesitation, into missed opportunities. A single positive thought, embraced and nurtured, can create hope, resilience, and a determination that carries you through obstacles. Think of a time in your life when you accomplished something you once doubted you could do. Perhaps it was speaking in front of a group, learning a new skill, or recovering from a setback. At first, fear may have filled your mind. But somewhere along the way, one thought broke through the fear. What if I can? That thought changed everything. It gave you courage to take the first step. And once you took that step, the path began to open. This is why it is said that your mind is like soil, and your thoughts are seeds. The soil does not argue. It does not question what is planted. It simply grows whatever is placed within it. Plant weeds, and weeds will grow. Plant roses, and roses will bloom. The responsibility, then, lies with you. Which thoughts are you planting every day? Which garden are you cultivating? The challenge, of course, is that thoughts come so quickly, so automatically, that we often forget we have the power to choose them. It is easy to live on autopilot, reacting to old habits of thinking, repeating the same patterns of doubt and fear. But awareness changes everything. The moment you realize that your thoughts are not fixed, that you can interrupt them, redirect them, and choose new ones, you begin to reclaim your inner power. So when you catch yourself saying, "I can't," pause. Ask yourself, is this the truth? Or is this just a thought I've repeated so often it feels like the truth? When you notice your mind whispering discouragement, replace it with a seed of encouragement. When the thought of failure appears, plant a thought of possibility instead. Over time, the new seeds will take root, and the old weeds will wither away. The power of a single thought cannot be underestimated. It is the starting point of everything you will ever do, everything you will ever become. Guard your thoughts carefully, because the direction of your life flows from them. Every great transformation begins in silence, in the unseen shift of thought before a single action is ever taken. Most people underestimate the power of what lingers in their minds day after day. They assume thoughts are harmless, fleeting, or disconnected from reality. But nothing could be further from the truth. Your thoughts are the blueprint of your destiny. The life you live today is the result of the thoughts you entertained yesterday. And the life you will step into tomorrow will be determined by the thoughts you nurture today. Think about it for a moment. Every building around you first existed as an idea in someone's mind. Every invention, every work of art, every movement that changed the world was born from a thought. If human beings can imagine flight and turn it into airplanes, if they can imagine light and bring forth electricity, if they can imagine connection and create the internet, then imagine what your personal thoughts could create in your own life. The only limit to what you can build lies in the boundaries of your thinking. This is why you cannot afford to treat your thoughts casually. A negative thought left unchallenged begins to shape your mood. That mood influences your decisions. Those decisions form habits, and those habits eventually construct your character. Step by step, silently and invisibly, a single negative thought can redirect the course of your entire future. But the opposite is just as true. A single empowering thought, one seed of possibility, one moment of faith, one spark of courage, can shift the entire trajectory of your life. Consider a time in your life when you doubted yourself, when your mind whispered that you were not good enough. Did you notice how your energy seemed to shrink? How opportunities seemed to pass by, even when they were within reach? That was not fate working against you. It was your own thought shaping your perception. Now recall a time when you believed in yourself, even if the evidence was not yet visible. Did you notice how your posture changed, how your actions carried more certainty, and how doors seemed to open more easily? That was the force of a different thought, a different story running through your mind. What you believe internally determines what you attempt externally, and what you attempt externally determines what you achieve. This is why two people can stand before the same challenge, yet one feels paralyzed, while the other feels unstoppable. The difference is not in the obstacle. The difference is in their thoughts. There is a hidden chain reaction that most people miss. A thought becomes a lens. That lens colors how you see the world. If the lens is dark, the world looks heavy, filled with problems. If the lens is clear, the same world looks filled with opportunities. The world outside may not have changed at all, but your inner world shifted, and so your experience shifted with it. The truth is, you cannot always control what happens around you, but you can always decide what to think about it, and that choice is the most powerful one you possess. Every thought you choose is like casting a vote for the person you want to become. The more often you choose empowering thoughts, the stronger they grow. The stronger they grow, the easier it becomes to live in alignment with them. Eventually, they no longer feel like choices. They become your natural state of being. This is why protecting your mind is not optional. It is essential. You must guard the gates of your thoughts with vigilance. When a destructive idea tries to take root, recognize it for what it is and replace it with one that lifts you higher. When doubt whispers, answer with confidence. When fear creeps in, answer with courage. When hopelessness knocks, open the door with faith. In doing so, you train your mind to serve you rather than sabotage you. So remember this: every single thought matters. Do not dismiss them as trivial or powerless. They are the architects of your reality, the silent builders of your future. The hidden truth is that the most important battles you will ever fight are not out there in the world. They are in here, in the quiet chambers of your own mind. Win those battles, and you will discover that life itself begins to bend in your favor. Every great shift in life begins not with an action, but with a thought. The way you wake up in the morning, the way you treat others, the way you handle stress, and even the way you chase your dreams, all begin inside your mind. What many people fail to realize is that thoughts are not fleeting whispers that vanish into the air. They are blueprints, laying down the foundation of what your life will become. Every thought, repeated often enough, turns into a belief, and every belief shapes the decisions that guide your destiny. Think about a time when you believed something was impossible. Maybe it was a goal you longed for, but convinced yourself you weren't capable of achieving. Notice how that single thought dictated your actions. Instead of trying, you hesitated. Instead of giving your best, you gave excuses. Instead of seeing opportunities, you saw only obstacles. That is the invisible grip of thought. It quietly writes the script for your life. And unless you are aware, you simply play the role it assigns to you. Now imagine the opposite. Think of a time you felt confident and capable. Even if the odds were stacked against you, you stepped forward with courage, and somehow doors opened. You pushed harder, stayed longer, and reached further than you thought you could. That too began with a thought. A belief that you were worthy, strong, and prepared. The outcome might have surprised others, but it did not surprise you, because in your mind, you had already decided the result before you lived it. This is why your thoughts matter so deeply. They do not just color your perspective, they steer your behavior. A person who constantly thinks they are unlucky will subconsciously walk past opportunities. A person who tells themselves they are unworthy will sabotage relationships before they even begin. A person who feeds their mind with fear will find themselves paralyzed before the first step. On the other hand, a person who trains their mind to see possibilities, to focus on growth, and to believe in resilience will naturally move toward a life that reflects those beliefs. It is not about denying reality or pretending challenges don't exist. Life is full of difficulties, but your thoughts decide how you meet them. Two people can face the same setback, yet one will crumble while the other rises stronger. The difference is not the event itself, but the story each person tells themselves about it. One says, "This is proof I will never succeed." The other says, "This is a lesson preparing me for my next success." Both are just thoughts, but one builds despair while the other builds strength. What you must understand is that thoughts multiply. A single negative thought rarely travels alone. If left unchecked, it attracts more of its kind, until your mind feels heavy, clouded, and drained. But the same is true of positive thoughts. A single moment of gratitude can open the door to hope, which leads to courage, which builds momentum. Slowly, without even realizing it, your inner garden becomes filled with strength instead of weakness. The key is awareness. Most people live on autopilot, never stopping to question the voice inside their head. They assume their thoughts are facts, when in truth they are choices. You are not powerless in the face of your thinking. You can pause, you can reflect, and you can decide which thoughts are worth keeping and which must be released. It takes practice, but like any skill, the more you do it, the stronger you become. If you want to change your future, start by changing the way you think today. Every time a thought of doubt arises, replace it with one of determination. Every time fear whispers in your mind, respond with a vision of courage. Every time you tell yourself you are not enough, remind yourself that greatness is not a gift handed to a chosen few, but a result created by those who master their inner world. Your life is nothing more than the outward expression of your dominant thoughts. Guard them carefully, nurture them wisely, and you will discover that you have always had the power to create life you desire. It was waiting in your mind all along. Every day, the world presents you with countless challenges. Some are small, like an unexpected delay in traffic, a harsh word from someone close, or a disappointment that shakes your plans. Others are larger: financial struggles, broken relationships, health concerns, or the weight of uncertainty about the future. In those moments, your external reality can feel overwhelming, as if you have no control over what's happening. Yet there is one space where you always have control: the space of your thoughts. It is within this hidden inner world that true power resides. When you learn to master your response, you discover that no external event has the power to dictate your state of mind unless you allow it. Your thoughts decide whether a setback becomes the end of your journey or simply a detour. They decide whether criticism breaks your spirit or strengthens your resolve. They decide whether you carry anger that poisons you or wisdom that frees you. Think of a storm. The winds howl, the rain crashes, and the thunder roars. If you are caught outside, you are tossed around by its force. But if you retreat into the center of a strong, grounded shelter, the storm rages while you remain safe and calm inside. Your thoughts are that shelter. Life's storms will always come, but how you experience them depends on whether your mind is trained to stand firm or left vulnerable to every gust of wind. There are countless stories of individuals who endured hardships that should have broken them, yet they emerged stronger, not weaker. What separated them from others was not that their circumstances were easier, but that their inner world was steadier. They understood that while they could not always control what happened, they could control what they chose to believe about it. And what they believed shaped their reality. When you believe that every failure carries within it a lesson, then failure stops being the end. It becomes part of your growth. When you believe that setbacks are not roadblocks, but redirections, you begin to walk with trust instead of despair. And when you believe that your worth is not defined by anyone else's opinion, but by the strength and integrity you hold within, then no insult or rejection can steal your peace. The hidden truth here is simple: life is not determined by the events you face, but by the meaning you give them in your mind. If you choose empowering meanings, your spirit remains unshaken. If you choose destructive ones, even the smallest inconvenience can feel like a mountain. This does not mean that you will never feel pain, sadness, or anger. To be human is to feel deeply. But it does mean that you no longer let those emotions control the path of your life. You learn to pause, to breathe, and to ask yourself, what story am I telling myself right now? Is it lifting me up, or is it pulling me down? That single pause, that single question, has the power to shift your entire direction. The mind, once trained, becomes your strongest ally. It allows you to step into challenges with courage instead of fear. It allows you to rise each morning with a focus on what you can do, not on what you cannot. It allows you to carry an inner calm that nothing outside of you can disturb. And in that calmness, you find clarity, strength, and freedom. So when the storms come, as they always do, remember this: the power is never in the storm itself. The power is in the way you choose to think through it. And when you master that choice, no storm can truly break you. Every day, countless thoughts pass through your mind. Most of them drift in and out like passing clouds, but some take root. Those that take root begin to form patterns, and those patterns become the foundation of your beliefs. And once something becomes a belief, it no longer feels like a passing thought. It feels like reality itself. This is why the mind has such incredible power. Because what you believe to be true shapes not just your perception, but the actions you are willing to take and the life you ultimately create. Think about it. If someone believes they are capable, resourceful, and worthy of success, they walk into challenges with courage. They see obstacles not as walls, but as puzzles to be solved. They persist longer, they push harder, and they open doors that others don't even notice. On the other hand, if a person believes they are weak, unlucky, or destined to fail, every step forward feels like a burden. They hesitate, they retreat, and they close themselves off from opportunities that could have changed everything. The difference between those two lives does not begin with circumstances. It begins with thought, crystallized into belief. This is why your inner dialogue matters so deeply. Every time you tell yourself, "I can't," you are training your mind to treat that limitation as truth. Every time you repeat, "I'm not good enough," you are watering the weeds of doubt until they choke out your potential. But every time you affirm, "I am capable," or "I can learn," "I will try," you are planting seeds of resilience that grow stronger with every repetition. The brain is remarkably obedient. It listens to the instructions you give it most often, and then it goes to work building evidence to prove those instructions true. What's even more fascinating is how these beliefs affect the way the world responds to you. When you carry confidence in your posture and conviction in your voice, others feel it. When you believe in your worth, people treat you as though you are worthy. When you expect good things, you notice opportunities that once passed you by. In other words, the world reflects the image you hold of yourself. This is not magic, it is psychology. It is energy. It is the undeniable ripple effect of belief. The challenge, of course, is that most of us have collected beliefs that are not even our own. They were handed to us by parents, teachers, peers, or painful experiences. Somewhere along the way, we accepted their voices as our truth. Maybe you were told you weren't smart, or that success was only for certain people, or that you had to stay in your lane. Those words may have echoed in your mind long enough to become part of your belief system. But here is the liberating truth. A belief is only thought of repeated often enough to accept as fact. And if that's the case, then any belief can be reshaped, rewritten, or replaced. This is why intentional thought is so powerful. When you consciously choose the stories you repeat to yourself, you begin to rewire the mental architecture of your life. It won't happen overnight, just like a garden doesn't transform in a single day. But with consistent nurturing, with patience, with practice, with persistence, new beliefs take root. And those new beliefs will lead to new choices, new actions, and new realities. So if you want to change your life, don't start by fighting the external world. Begin inside. Begin by paying attention to the thoughts you repeat most often. Begin by questioning the beliefs that hold you back. And then, with quiet determination, begin planting new seeds of possibility. Because once your thoughts align with the life you desire, the world around you has no choice but to follow. Every day, the world around you presents endless noise. There are distractions, opinions, pressures, and expectations that try to invade your mind. But beneath all of that, your thoughts remain the hidden compass, quietly directing your life. They determine whether you feel peace or stress, whether you see obstacles or opportunities, whether you walk into a room with confidence or hesitation. The outer noise may seem powerful, but in truth, it is your inner voice that decides how you experience it all. Think about a moment when you faced something uncertain, maybe stepping into a new job, starting a business, or speaking in front of an audience. The circumstances themselves were neutral. What created either fear or courage was the story in your mind. If you thought, "I am not ready. I might fail. They will judge me," your body followed with trembling hands and shallow breath. But if you thought, "I can do this. This is my chance to grow. I belong here," your chest opened, your energy shifted, and your actions aligned with that belief. The situation didn't change. Your thoughts did. And that made all the difference. This is why mastering your thoughts is so important. Thoughts are not fleeting sparks that come and go without consequence. They are commands to your brain, instructions to your body, and signals to the world about how to respond to you. When you choose thoughts of strength, your body mirrors that strength. When you choose thoughts of doubt, your body obeys with hesitation. The world reflects back what you project. And so your reality begins to echo the tone of your thinking. Imagine a person who constantly thinks, "Nothing ever works out for me." They start to walk through life with slumped shoulders, expecting disappointment. When opportunities appear, they hesitate or sabotage themselves because their mind has already prepared them for failure. Contrast this with someone who thinks, "Every challenge carries a lesson, and I always find a way forward." They approach situations with curiosity, persistence, and confidence. Even when things don't go as planned, they extract growth instead of defeat. Over time, both people create entirely different lives, not because of luck, but because of the thoughts they chose to repeat every single day. The most empowering truth is that you always have the ability to choose what stays in your mind. You cannot control every thought that appears, just like you cannot stop every bird from flying overhead, but you can decide which ones you let nest in your mind. You can catch yourself When negativity whispers, pause, and then replace it with something that strengthens you instead of weakens you. This is the art of mental discipline, and it is available to you in every moment. Start paying attention to the words you silently tell yourself. When you notice patterns of doubt, shift them. Instead of, "I can't do this," try, "I am learning how to do this." Instead of, "I am not enough," remind yourself, "I am growing into the person I am meant to be." These small shifts may seem simple, but they carry tremendous power. Each new thought plants a seed, and over time, those seeds grow into beliefs, habits, and results. Your mind is the root of everything you create. Guard it carefully. Feed it with ideas that uplift you, with visions that expand you, with words that remind you of your worth. Because when your thoughts are aligned with your highest potential, nothing in the outer world can shake you. You stop living as a victim of circumstance and start living as the author of your own story. This is the hidden truth. You do not need to wait for your life to change before you change your thinking. It works the other way around. Change your thoughts, and your life must follow. Have you ever noticed how two people can go through the exact same situation, yet come out with completely different emotions and outcomes? One person sees failure as the end of the road, while another sees it as a stepping stone. One person is weighed down by criticism, while another uses it as fuel to grow stronger. The difference isn't the event itself. The difference lies in the story each person tells themselves in their mind. This is where the hidden power of your thoughts becomes undeniable. Thoughts are not just fleeting ideas. They are the architects of meaning. They determine whether you look at a closed door and see it as rejection or as a redirection towards something better. They decide whether you interpret a challenge as punishment or as preparation. Every thought paints a picture, and those pictures become the reality you live in. Think about a time when you faced a setback. Perhaps you applied for something and didn't get it. Maybe you tried to build a relationship and it ended. Maybe you started a project that didn't succeed. In those moments, your mind immediately began to form a story. I'm not good enough. Nothing ever works out for me. Or, if your thinking was stronger, you may have told yourself, this isn't the end. This is pointing me to something greater. Notice how the exact same moment can either drag you into despair or lift you into resilience, depending on the thought you allow to take root. When you understand this, you begin to see how much control you truly have. Life will always bring events you cannot control, but the meaning of those events is not fixed. It is created by you. Your mind is constantly assigning meaning, and that meaning becomes the filter for your emotions, your choices, and your next actions. If you tell yourself you failed, you stop trying. If you tell yourself you learned, you keep moving. That tiny shift in perspective, powered by thought, changes the entire trajectory of your life. It's important to realize that this is not just about positive thinking in a shallow sense. It's about intentional thinking. It's about recognizing that every thought is either building your strength or weakening it. Every thought is either guiding you closer to your purpose or putting you further away. And you have the choice, in each moment, to decide which one it will be. Consider the people you admire most. Those who rise above circumstances, who remain calm under pressure, who achieve what seems impossible. Their lives are not free of pain, disappointment, or setbacks. What sets them apart is not what happens to them, but how they interpret what happens. They have trained their minds to search for growth, to create meaning that empowers rather than destroys. You can begin this same practice today. The next time something small irritates you, stop and ask yourself, what story am I telling about this moment? Is this thought helping me or hurting me? When disappointment arrives, pause and ask, a warm, calming can I create that allows me to grow? These questions shift the power back into your hands, because once you change the meaning, the feeling follows, and once the feeling shifts, so does your action. In the end, your life is not shaped by events as much as it is shaped by the meaning you attach to them, and meaning is simply thought given power. If you choose thoughts of defeat, your life reflects defeat. If you choose thoughts of possibility, your life reflects possibility. The greatest truth you can embrace is that no one else assigns the final meaning of your life, but you. And when you learn to master that power, you stop being a victim of circumstance and become the creator of your destiny. Think about the moments in your life when something seemed impossible at first. Maybe it was a challenge in your studies, a new skill at work, or even the courage to speak up when you once stayed silent. At the beginning, your mind whispered doubts. This is too hard. You're not ready. You might fail. And yet, when you pressed forward, when you shifted your thinking from I can't to I'll find a way, you discovered that what once felt unreachable was not only possible, but within your control. This is the hidden force of perspective. The reality you experience is not purely based on external events. It is filtered through your inner dialogue. Two people can face the exact same situation and walk away with completely different experiences, simply because of the story they tell themselves in their minds. One sees defeat, the other sees growth. One sees a closed door, the other imagines a new path around it. And all of it begins with thought. When you understand this, you realize that the true battleground is never the outside world. It is always within. Your circumstances may not be perfect. They may even be painful. But the meaning you assign to them, the way you choose to interpret those moments, will either empower you or imprison you. A single thought can change the way you feel, the way you act, and ultimately, the outcome you create. Imagine a person standing in the rain. One mind says, "This is miserable. I'm stuck. My day is ruined." Another mind says, "The air feels fresh. The sound of the rain is calming. This moment can still be beautiful. Nothing outside has changed. Only the thought. And yet, the emotional experience, the energy, and even the willingness to keep moving forward are completely transformed. It is the same with challenges. The mind that focuses only on obstacles will always feel powerless. But the mind that asks, "What can I learn? How can I use this?" discovers strength even in struggle. That small shift, from despair to curiosity, from hopelessness to possibility, is what allows ordinary peoples to rise extraordinary difficulties. This is why you must guard your inner dialogue with the same vigilance as you would guard your most precious treasure, because in truth, it is the most precious treasure. If you fill your thoughts with anger, resentment, and fear, you poison your own well. But if you fill them with gratitude, vision, and faith, you nourish yourself with an energy that cannot be taken away. Do not underestimate the quiet power of consistent thought. A single positive idea, repeated daily, becomes belief. Belief becomes action. Action becomes habit. And habit becomes destiny. The world you live in tomorrow is shaped by the thoughts you entertain today. This is not a theory. It is a law of life. And so, when you catch yourself spiraling into negative stories, pause. Interrupt the pattern. Replace it with a thought that lifts you instead of lowers you. This does not mean pretending life is perfect. It means refusing to surrender your mind to defeat. It means reminding yourself that even in pain, there is purpose. Even in delay, there is direction. Even in failure, there is feedback that prepares you for success. The truth is, your outer world is always a mirror of your inner world. If you desire change in your circumstances, you must first change the way you think about them. Transformation is not born in chance encounters or sudden strokes of luck. It begins in the silent conversation you hold with yourself each day. That conversation can be the voice that breaks you down or the voice that builds you up. And the choice, every single time, is yours. There comes a point in every journey of self, when growth, when you realize that the greatest battles are not fought outside of you, but within the quiet corridors of your own mind. The external world is loud, demanding, and often chaotic, but the real war is silent. It is the battle between empowering thoughts and destructive ones, between the voice that tells you, "You can," and the whisper that insists, "You can't." In this invisible arena, the strongest warrior is not the one with physical might, but the one who has mastered discipline over thought. Consider how a single negative thought can spiral into a storm. A fleeting worry about the future can multiply into anxiety draining your energy before the day has even begun. One harsh memory replayed over and over can paralyze you from moving forward. The thought itself may be small, but when fed with attention, it grows until it dictates your actions, your mood, and even the opportunities you allow yourself to pursue. On the other hand, one empowering thought, "I am capable, I am ready," can light a fire in you, turning hesitation into courage and possibility into action. Discipline of thought does not mean you will never encounter negativity again. It means you have trained yourself to notice when it arrives, to pause, and to choose not to let it dominate. Just as an athlete trains their body to respond with speed and strength, you can train your mind to respond with calm and clarity. When a disempowering thought shows up, discipline allows you to say, "No, this does not serve me," and to redirect towards something that strengthens you. It is not suppression, but mastery. Think of a sculptor standing before a block of stone. Every strike of the chisel removes what is unnecessary until the masterpiece emerges. Your thoughts work the same way. Without discipline, the stone remains heavy and unshaped, but with deliberate attention, you carve away fear, doubt, and limitation until the best version of yourself is revealed. Each disciplined thought is a strike of the chisel, small yet significant, and over time, the form of who you are becomes clearer. This practice requires patience. The mind will not obey instantly, just as a wild horse does not become tame after a single command. It resists, it wanders, it pulls you back into old patterns. But with consistency, the resistance weakens. A day comes when your thoughts no longer control you. Instead, you guide them with intention. That is the turning point, where inner chaos becomes inner strength. Discipline also demands awareness of what you consume. Just as the body weakens when fed with junk, the mind weakens when constantly fed with fear, gossip, or comparison. Be mindful of what you allow into your environment, because every word, every image, every conversation plants seeds in your mind. To live with disciplined thought is to guard the gate of your mental garden, allowing in only what supports growth and keeping out what poisons it. Over time, this inner mastery changes everything. Stress does not vanish, but it no longer shakes you. Challenges do not disappear, but they no longer paralyze you. Success does not arrive overnight, but you walk toward it with steady confidence. The discipline of thought is the foundation upon which calm, a clarity, and true strength are built. It is not a gift reserved for a few. It is a skill anyone can practice. And the moment you begin practicing, your life begins shifting. The truth is, you cannot always control what happens outside of you, but you can always control the thoughts you choose to entertain. And when you claim that power, you stop being a prisoner of circumstance and start being the author of your destiny. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that the only thing they can truly control is their own mind. Not the weather, not other people's choices, not every circumstance that arrives uninvited, but thoughts. Those quiet sparks inside your head, they are yours. And when you recognize this, you begin to understand the extraordinary freedom it gives you. Freedom to remain calm when chaos surrounds you. Freedom to stay hopeful when others give up. Freedom to see opportunities where others only see problems. Your mind is like a lens, and the quality of that lens determines how you experience life. If the lens is cloudy with fear, then everything looks threatening. If it is scratched with resentment, then even good things appear suspicious. But if the lens is polished with clarity, gratitude, and intention, then the same world looks brighter, more welcoming, and full of possibilities. This shift does not come from magic, nor from external events suddenly improving. It comes from choosing what you allow to stay in your mind, and what you gently but firmly refuse to entertain. Think about how often we let small thoughts dictate the tone of an entire day. A single negative idea, "I'm not good enough," or "this will never work," can drain your energy before you even begin. But the reverse is also true. A single empowering thought, "I can handle this," or "I will figure it out step by step," can lift you, giving you courage and focus when you need it most. The thought itself may not solve the problem, but it awakens the strength within you to act differently. And that makes all the difference. Many people underestimate this power because thoughts are invisible. You cannot hold them in your hands. You cannot show them to someone else. Yet their effect is everywhere. Every achievement, every invention, every work of art began first as a thought in someone's mind. Every collapse, every failure, every tragedy also began with a thought that was either destructive or left unchallenged. When you realize this, you see that guarding the quality of your thoughts is as vital as guarding your health or your safety. The process begins with awareness. You must start noticing what flows through your mind. Not every thought deserves your attention. Not every idea is worthy of belief. Just as you would not eat food that poisons your body, you must learn not to feed on thoughts that poison your spirit. Replace them with ideas that strengthen you. Replace them with words that speak of growth, resilience, and dignity. It is not about pretending that life is perfect. Challenges will come, and pain will visit every soul. But you are not helpless in those moments. You always carry the ability to choose your perspective. You can look at the same event and ask, "Why me?" Or you can ask, "What can this teach me?" The first question drains you. The second empowers you. The first makes you a victim. The second makes you a learner. And learners always grow stronger. When you train your thoughts, you are training your destiny. You are building an inner compass that keeps pointing you toward possibility no matter how rough the terrain. And slowly, people will notice. They will see that while others panic, you remain steady. While others complain, you focus on solutions. While others are consumed by fear, you carry a quiet confidence. That confidence does not come from luck. It comes from mastering the one thing that was always yours to control, the way you think. So, whenever life feels overwhelming, remind yourself everything begins in the mind. Shift the thought, and you shift the experience. Strengthen the thought, and you strengthen yourself. Protect the thought, and you protect the life you are building. This is the hidden truth, and once you embrace it, nothing outside of you can ever have the final say. Every journey we take in life begins and ends in the same place, the mind. The final truth about thoughts is that they are not simply passing clouds, here one moment and gone the next. They are architects. They build the walls of your future or tear them down. They paint the sky you live under. They shape your choices, your identity, and even the way others respond to you. The world bends to the quiet whisper of your mind far more than to the loud noise of your circumstances. Think for a moment about the times you have been filled with self-belief. Notice how the smallest victories seemed possible, how doors opened, how energy surged through your body. Now compare that to the times when your thoughts were clouded with fear or doubt. Suddenly, the same world felt heavier, opportunities seemed distant, and the energy drained away. Nothing in the external world had changed. Yet everything felt different because your thoughts changed. That is the ultimate proof that your inner state is the true foundation of your reality. This is why the greatest responsibility you will ever carry is not a title, a job, or even the expectations of others. It is the responsibility of choosing every single day which thoughts you allow to govern your mind. If you guard them like treasures, nurturing only those that serve your growth, your life will reflect it. But if you neglect them, if you allow weeds of negativity to take root, no amount of external success can truly satisfy you. Your thoughts are not only about you, they ripple outward. A positive, empowered mind radiates energy that uplifts others, inspires confidence, and creates trust. A negative, defeated mind spreads fear, doubt, and division. People feel the weight of your inner world, even before you speak. That is why cultivating the right thoughts is not just self-care. It is service. By strengthening your mind, you quietly give others permission to do the same. The final step, then, is awareness. Learn to pause and observe the dialogue inside your head. Ask yourself, is this thought serving me? Or is it limiting me? Is it planting flowers in my garden? Or weeds that will choke out growth? With that awareness, you reclaim choice. You are no longer at the mercy of unconscious patterns. You become the master gardener, planting only what you want to bloom. It will not be easy. The mind has habits, and old ways of thinking will try to return. But remember, each thought is a decision. With repetition, new habits form. Over time, positivity becomes natural, gratitude becomes instinct, focus becomes effortless. And the more you strengthen these patterns, the more your outer life aligns with them. So, when you wake each morning, remind yourself your thoughts are not trivial. They are the steering wheel of your entire existence. Hold it firmly. Direct it wisely, because wherever your thoughts go, your life follows. And as you carry this truth into every challenge, every opportunity, every quiet moment of doubt, remember that you hold the hidden power so many overlook. The power to choose your thoughts, the power to rewrite your story, the power to create a reality that reflects not fear but faith, not weakness but strength, not confusion but clarity. In the end, the greatest discovery is not that your thoughts control everything. It is realizing that you always had the ability to control your thoughts. And with that realization, nothing in your life will ever remain the same. You have now traveled through the hidden truth of the mind, the quiet but undeniable force that shapes your destiny. At the beginning, you may have wondered whether thoughts could truly hold such influence. Now, you understand. Every choice, every feeling, every result in your life is born first in the unseen world of thought. The mind is not a mirror reflecting reality. It is a projector creating it. What you dwell on expands. What you believe becomes real. What you nurture within will eventually appear without. This is not just philosophy. It is the pattern repeated across every success story, every moment of resilience, every transformation. And here lies your greatest gift. You are never powerless. Circumstances may shift, challenges may rise, but your thoughts remain yours to command. They are the steering wheel no one can take from you, unless you let go of it yourself. With every sunrise, you are offered a choice: to think thoughts that weaken you, or thoughts that strengthen you, to rehearse fears, or to envision possibilities, to live as a prisoner of your mind, or as its master. The work does not end when this audiobook finishes. In truth, it only begins. Every day will test your awareness. Old patterns may call you back. Doubts will whisper. Yet now, you carry a greater awareness. The knowledge that your inner world is the soil of your outer life. If you guard it, water it, and plant carefully, you will watch in wonder as your reality blooms. So take this truth with you. You are not at the mercy of random chance, nor of the voices around you. You are the author, the builder, the dreamer. Your life is a canvas, and your thoughts are the brush. Paint with courage, paint with gratitude, paint with vision, and when you look back, you will see not a life shaped by accident, but a masterpiece created by intention. Because in the end, the hidden truth is no longer hidden. Your thoughts control everything. And when you learn to control your thoughts, you unlock the most powerful freedom of all, the freedom to design a life worthy of who you were always meant to be.